The grocery store is oftentimes filled with a lot of junk food, but it's also filled with a lot of fake foods that we've talked about over the years. But I wanted to make an update for the top 5 or so fake foods that are in the grocery store that we are buying every day that you want to avoid and how to avoid them. Before we go into the first one, I also want you to check out thrivemarket.com, which is the longest supporter of my channel, yes, but the reason why I love Thrive Market is pretty much anything you get at any grocery store is on Thrive Market. It's going to be real and it's going to be cheaper. We save about $32 compared to going to the store, and the box comes to your house. And I updated my list in the description box. I typed out an updated list of all my favorite food and personal care products that are on Thrive Market, and my link gets you 30% off your first order and a free gift, so check it out. Okay, we've talked about this many times, but 80% plus of the olive oil, extra virgin, and avocado oil at the store is fake. Fake, 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 fake. Why? Because it oftentimes comes from multiple sources, and lab tests show that it's not pure extra virgin olive oil. A lot of times the oil is oxidized and it's cut with inferior oils like canola, peanut oil, soybean oil. Why would they cut it with that? Because it's profits over people, my friend. And because there's no traceability, and because no one is actually testing the oil before it hits the shelf, if you cut it with 8% or 10% canola oil, which has no flavor, you're getting more profits and they're hoodwinking you and I. And so the number one way to avoid fake extra virgin olive oil is traceability. Get one that comes from one country, which is easier said than done, because you might pick up something, organic extra virgin olive oil. Always look at the key on the back here, and it tells you that this will come from different countries. This one comes from Spain and Tunisia, so 2 countries. This one here, organic, comes from Spain, Italy, and Tunisia, 3 countries. Go ahead. Yeah. No, excuse us.
Sorry.
Not at all. And this one right here comes from Spain, Portugal, and Tunisia. When you have that amount of countries that olives are coming from, it's very hard to have traceability, and that's when they start swapping in other oils. It's actually very common to use very old olives that are sometimes moldy and they have to deodorize them. It's big money in olive oil, and the same thing happens with avocado oil too. So how do you avoid it? Well, get single origin olive oils that come from one region only, or get the brands that I know are doing it right. So for example, we're at Walmart right now. I know for a fact, this one right here is single origin California, knows how to party, and they know how to make EVOO. Cobram Estate, very good price too. How about single estate Tunisian extra virgin olive oil? How about single origin Sicilian extra virgin olive oil for a very good price? This was actually the oil that Starbucks used for the oleados, which I was shocked because it's really high quality oil.
I didn't know you were doing
You go ahead. We're holding up the whole aisle here.
Giving a lesson on
Yeah,
olive
and
oil.
that's exactly what we're doing.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, excuse us. We're always in the way here. What else here? California Ranch, but the 100% California one, yes. The blend of 4 different countries, no. And when it comes to avocado oil, the same problems I just discussed are prevalent in that too. The 2 brands that I know for a fact are real and I use are Chosen Foods and Primal Kitchen, because they're only from Mexico, and they're actually from the Michoacan region, which is where they make Hass avocados. Other ones, not saying they're bad per se, but they're gonna have multiple countries of origin. Actually, there's such big money in the avocado business. If you watch the avocado episode of Rotten on Netflix, the cartels involved in avocados. But when it comes to real deal oil, stick with those brands and stick with the real ones of extra virgin. Otherwise, you're probably getting the fake. You would expect your cup of Joe just to be Joe, ground coffee or whole beans, whatever the case is. But that is not true, because there's a lot of money at stake when it comes to coffee. In fact, it's the most expensive agricultural product in the world. So anytime you can kind of pull a little fakery and increase profits, people are gonna do that. And that tends to happen with ground coffee. So this is pre-ground coffee. I'm not saying this brand does it, but usually the budget brands will swap some things in there. You might be thinking to yourself, what can they put in here, Bobby, besides ground coffee? They can't put like pebbles in there. No. but they can put ground up twigs, ground up corn, and ground up soybeans, things that don't really have that much flavor, kind of look the same color, especially when they're roasted, and you would never ever know. So how do you avoid that? Well, you can still buy ground coffee if you want, but get it from a reputable source. High quality beans, maybe a local roaster, someone you really trust. But if you're at the store and you want to get like good coffee here, I mean, it's so interesting. They have some decent brands here, but I don't see any good quality single origin. I've said this before, but in my opinion, blends are usually inferior because it could be a lot of mystery beans from around different parts of the world. Single origin is the best, and it's so funny. My Costco doesn't have single origin. I don't see single origin here. But if you want to avoid the twigs and the ground soybeans, here you go. Just look for whole bean coffee. I mean, it's maybe not the best brand per se, but whole bean coffee. Why? Because yes, you have to grind it at home, but you're not going to be able to sneak in those soybean and corn kernels and twigs because you would see it and they would get in serious trouble. So when you're buying coffee, try to avoid ground when possible, get whole bean. Speaking of coffee, you know what I'm in love with lately? It's summertime, it's hot out. Cold brew coffee latte. So I make my cold brew at home, and then I put into a cup with a splash of maple syrup, a splash of vanilla, ton of ice, using my new ice maker I got from Costco, and then I put half and half over the top. Oh my God, on a hot summer day, late morning, it's my favorite pick-me-up. And there's no twigs. I love me some good honey and some cup of tea at night on the couch watching my favorite show to help me wind down. If I had to pick the best one here at this grocery store, it'd be local Florida raw honey. There's big benefits to having local honey, especially when it comes to allergies. But there's a problem with a lot of honeys. They're not always pure honey. They're cut with other ingredients. And I don't know for sure which one's doing it here, but usually when you get the budget honeys here, even if it says product of USA, that doesn't mean that all of the honey needs to come from the USA. A lot of it can come from Asia, and China is known to produce a lot of honey, but then cut it with rice syrup and fructose and corn syrup to dilute it down and make more profits, and then ship it here. And we got wise to the game. We actually caught them doing it. And we said, we will not take any more honey from China. So what they did is start exporting their laced honey to other countries in Asia and Southeast Asia, and then importing it here. So it's very, very hard to find. No one checks for it, there's no traceability, and they're making more profits at the sacrifice of us people. So how do you get rid of that? How do you avoid that? Buy local honey. Farmers markets are great, but the biggest difference between like this, which is USA and Canadian honey, which I'm not saying is bad per se, and the bottle I picked up, is I know this is just from Florida. They're not cutting with anything else. And when you get raw honey, it's never heated above like 110 degrees Fahrenheit, so it has living nutrition in there. Always get local raw honey. It's so superior, and yes, it might be a little more expensive, but it's better than having laced honey with rice syrup and corn sweetener. One of my favorite honeys right now it's called Really Raw Honey. I get it from Thrive Market. It's actually a great price. It's a domestic beehive. They only harvest in warm weather months. They let the bees chill out during the cold weather. They don't transport their bees to California to pollinate the almond trees and get sprayed with pesticides. And they never heat their honey at all. And it's in glass jars. That's on Thrive Market. If you want to get it, use my link down below. Get 30% off your first order. But be careful of the budget honeys because they are pretty sweeteners. It cracks me up to see the sign of fresh seafood, because this is not fresh. It's previously frozen and then thawed, which is fine and safe, but fresh invokes like feelings of fresh caught, never frozen, which is not, especially with salmon. And I'm gonna put this under the category of fake because 95 to 98% of Atlantic farm salmon is not fake, but it's so different than wild caught Alaskan salmon here. And the reason why I say that is because the color of the fish is not this color. You've heard me talk about this for years, but because this is farm salmon in a net, they call it an aquaculture in the ocean, but in a net, they're not free to swim. So the actual color of the salmon meat is gray, and they have to add beta carotene to their feed. And if you look here, it oftentimes will say that color added right there through feed. It's beta carotene. They have to make it look orange, but because the fish is not free to swim, it's not getting the nutrients and the diet and the oxygen through its muscles, and so it's pale as can be. So while it's not fake food, why would you eat something that's gray when this is the real color of Atlantic salmon? That's wild. It's a wild and crazy guy. It's free to swim. It's free to eat krill and other things in their diet that help give them that beautiful pink color when this is added. And this is also in a pen with thousands of other fish, oftentimes overcrowded, and they can get things like sea lice, and they give antibiotics to the fish. So not fake food, but not the kind of food you want. You want wild-caught salmon. And I know I've heard in the past, yes, Bobby, but if everyone ate wild-caught salmon, there's not enough fish to go around, which technically could be true, but you don't want to eat inferior farm salmon. Go for the wild-caught, stay away from the gray. The gray stuff is good for Belle at the Beast Castle, but not for you and I. I think this is the section where food goes to die. We have California rolls with a Best By date for tomorrow. But look at this, Leilani and I were just pointing this out. They're like pre-chopped salads. They mark them down to sell them. They're like wilted. I think they were frozen and thawed. Nobody should be buying these. That's really bad. The reason why I came here, I was looking for...
When it expires, August 17th of next year.
Oh, plenty of time. Wanted to know when the Breyers ice cream expires, you go on YouTube and you search Flav City Best By expiration dates. I have a whole video about that. But speaking of expiration dates, sushi. Not the kind of place I'd probably want to buy sushi, and I'm very picky about where I eat my sushi because sushi is one of the fakest foods in the world. They engage in something called fish swapping, where you think you order one kind of fish, and because oftentimes it's chopped up or wrapped in nori and rice and whatever, you can't tell what's in there. In certain breeds of fish, like you order super white tuna at a sushi joint, there's no such thing. It's like this invasive species from South America. You want to get sushi from a reputable spot. But can I just show you something? This California roll here has literally dozens and dozens of ingredients. And a lot of times you'll have that fake crab meat, or the fish in here is a combination of Alaskan pollock, which is literally like the cheapest fish you can get, chopped up with sugar, wheat starch, cornstarch, soybean oil, sorbitol, and a ton of preservatives. Absolutely crazy. So if you're gonna get sushi, get it from a reputable spot. Whole pieces are better than chopped because chopped ones, they can mix in mystery ones and you would never know. I like to go to a spot actually here in Boca. It's called Sunset Sushi. They bring in all their fish from Japan. It's super fresh and super traceable. You know exactly what you're getting, but be careful because 9 times out of 10, fish swapping is happening to your sushi and even expired sushi too. Well, that is it, my friends, for the top 5 or so lies at the grocery store. Man, between food lies, horrible ingredients, misleading marketing, the deck is really stacked against us. But as long as you know how to read labels or scan them with the Bobby approved app, you have the leg up. Do also check out thrivemarket.com using my promo link down below. 30% off your first order and a free gift. No fake foods, and I updated my list of all my favorite Thrive Market food and personal care items and put it down below in the description box, and you get 30% off your first order and a free gift. But that is it for my second home, the grocery store. I leave you like I always do. # keep on cooking. Mad love from me to you, and peace. Bye.